Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the year again. It's just after the 4th of July here in the US, and while a lot of you have blown through a bunch of money on fireworks, that digital wallet still has some change to spend, and you're looking for a new game, even if it's not newly released. The last days of the Steam Summer Sale of 2021 are still running strong, and now that you've got your budget, it's time to take a gander at what's good. Today I have a handful of strategy games across the genre for your consideration, ranging from city management to real-time grand strategy, turn-based to simulation. All are games I have played heavily and would at any time consider playing today, so no bait and switches here, just some really awesome strategy games. A quick note before we begin. While most of these games are available on my Nexus game store, only a few are at the same discount as the Steam platform. Those games will have Nexus in parentheses in the timestamp. Please consider supporting the channel by purchasing them through my Nexus game store. You'll get a Steam key directly from the developer, just like you would going through the Steam platform, and it supports this channel. Now, I won't inundate you with a huge list of games since there's only 3 days left, so let's dive into 7 satisfying strategy games in Steam's Summer Sale 2021. Starting off with one of the best viewed series on this channel is Ultimate General Civil War at 50% off for $15 US. UG Civil War is a real-time strategy war game set during the American Civil War. As a newly appointed general on either the Union or Confederate side, it's your job to win the war against the other side in over 50 battles in the full campaign, with battles spanning from minor skirmishes, holding a defensive point, to massive 100,000 man multi-level and multi-day battles that can stretch across miles of terrain at once. As the general of your army, you will muster men, equip them, assign officers, and upgrade their weapons as the war progresses. The outcomes of your smaller battles can and will have an effect on the campaign map as a whole, potentially weakening the enemy in those larger clashes, giving you the upper hand to gain victory. You'll use terrain and advanced tactics to affect enemy morale, breaking them in a strategic flank, even potentially taking them prisoner should they get too overwhelmed too quickly. UG Civil War is always a game I recommend for strategy nerds and Civil War fans alike. The sprite-based graphics allow you to represent those massive battles without the frame rate drop, while still looking pretty dang good. The depth and strategy in the game is great, and it has allowed for some extremely fun gameplay moments on the channel and offline. It's not without its flaws though, as a fair warning. The manpower mechanic that's designed to reward the player for excellent tactical superiority does anything but, and eventually you will always be outmatched no matter the success. The scripted side to the battles can also be frustrating if you're doing perfectly fine in an earlier stage. For some great balance and improved mechanics, I highly recommend playing the game with the J and P mod after a few attempts at the vanilla campaign. As much frustration the game has caused me, I still regularly come back for more. There's something about the game in its entirety that still holds a high spot for me, and despite its flaws, I still think it's a very easy buy, especially for 50% off. I'm front-loading this video with yet another extremely solid game, and still to this day is my all-time favorite Total War title, Total War ATTILA. Currently at 75% off at just over $11 US. Released in 2015 and set during the crumbling of the Western Roman Empire, Total War ATTILA could easily be described as Total War survival, as even playing a smaller faction, you'll need to figure out how to endure through massive unrest, climate change, and of course, the Huns. I will admit I'm 100% biased with ATTILA, as it is my favorite slice of history to study. With regards to the game, it is so thematically on point. From the drab and dreary color palette, the rise of Attila himself, and the feel of despair in trying to hold together something like the Western Roman Empire. Attila also brought about nearly every positive change in the franchise. The new UI layout, narrative-style gameplay, and siege destruction progression, to name a few. And aside from maybe Thrones of Britannia, Attila has some of the best siege gameplay in the series. Attila has a bad reputation for its poor optimization, but I found that with about any newer system hardware, it's not difficult to get those frame rates on the campaign map or on battles to stay above 60 FPS, unless you got over, 10,000 troops, which can certainly happen, and to be frank, I don't think there's really any Total War title that can handle that properly anyways. If that doesn't persuade you, Attila has some of the best mods, from the Ancient Empires to 1212 AD, Terminus Total War Imperium to the Rise of Mordor. at 75% off, right this very moment is the best time to grab Attila, and while you're at it, grab the Age of Charlemagne DLC. It's easily the best DLC Total War has created. Next up is Desperados 3 at 50% off for $25 US. Desperados 3 is one of those games that I wish I had covered on release and was one of my favorite titles in all of 2020. This story-driven, real-time tactics westerner sets you and your characters on a path of revenge, where stealth, environmental advantage, and team optimization are your best friends, while also being your only path to mission completion as well. In this game, every character you have on your team has a special set of skills, be it a silent knife throw, sniper skills, some cheeky persuasion, and a deep cut dress to straight up voodoo mind takeover. Coordination between these characters is key, as you are in complete control of their every move. It's made a bit easier as you can pause time to set up this type of coordination, where a sniper kill can then be immediately followed up with another takedown, while a perfectly executed explosion can then create a distraction for extract. It's up to you how you get the objective done, but both line of sight and hearing distance will take effect in how successful you are from alerting your enemies. Finding the most optimal set of actions is both the most fun and frustrating parts of this game, and you will 100% die, a lot. But it's also what makes the gameplay so entertaining and engaging. It's also how you learn how to move through the maps. The combination of a well laid out storyline and the steady addition of new characters as you go along, each with their very unique skills that make it well worth buying even at full price, much more so with it being on sale. So this one's a definite buy if you can afford the higher price point. Crusader Kings 3 is next in line for the sale, currently at 20% off for still a whopping $40 US. I won't go into a ton of detail on this title, as you can easily look through my channel and get some information on it. To condense, CK3 is a grand strategy game set during the medieval era, putting you at the head of a family of characters in which you must carve out your own legacy, entirely based off your actions and reactions to the world around you. You can start small as the Duke over a single hold, or attempt to keep power and expand as an emperor over a huge swatch of land. Regardless of your size, you'll need to use intrigue to gather information and take advantage of those around you. Use your diplomatic skills to arrange alliances based on military strength, or find the perfect spouse that will guarantee some genetic traits will continue through the royal bloodline. If all else fails, use the power of your levies and men-at-arms to forcibly take land that is, obviously, yours by right, taking on vassals or taking down rival kingdoms. You will need to use your court wisely to make the most of any situation, while also ensuring that your heirs will have lands to govern on your death. Can you guarantee the survival of your dynasty, using each generation to continually build on the legacy of your ancestors, or will the family fade away as time passes? It's entirely up to you. The amount of varied gameplay in CK3 is dang near infinite, and Paradox is steadily adding more and more gameplay features as development continues, both in paid DLC and in free updates. The learning curve is a bit steep for anyone new to the grand strategy scene, but CK3 does a great job in its tutorial and user interface to make that a bit easier for you. Investing in Paradox grand strats early is the best way to play, so make the diplomatic move right now and take advantage of that chunk of change off the base price. Okay, so HARDSPACE Shipbreaker isn't truly a strategy game, not as it fits with the rest of these titles, but it was listed in the strategy section by Steam, so it's the perfect opportunity to push this superb strategy simulation game, especially at 30% off for about $17.50 USD. Set in the typical not so great future, you've just been awarded to start your lifelong career as a shipbreaker for Lynx, the largest corporation in the galaxy. Working at a shipyard orbiting Earth, it's your job to salvage ships in the most efficient way possible, slicing and dicing or pulling pieces apart, making sure they get processed in the correct areas of the salvage yard. You'll use, pun intended, cutting-edge technology to precisely cut pieces of the ship off, or using a tether-based tool to push and pull pieces apart and send them off to their various destinations. The best part? You are massively in debt. With a hefty bill of $999,999,999, you'll really need to think about what ships you take on and how efficiently you tear them apart. The higher the efficiency, and the more you are able to accurately divide a ship's parts, the higher your payout is. You'll have to juggle equipment fees, upgrade your tools, oh, and pay for the supercritical things like oxygen while you work. You know how corporations are. HARDSPACE SHIPBREAKER is still my go-to offline experience even after 120 plus hours. While it can certainly be a heart-pounding experience should you nick a gas line or blow yourself up, for the most part it is a very chill and relaxing ride. The latest major update to this early access release was the addition of an actual storyline, with Act 1 shaking up the foundations of the Shipbreakers in a way that I'll leave you to discover on your own. If you can handle the zero gravity experience and don't get motion sickness, then I 100% recommend buying this game. The sooner you do, the sooner you can start your own Shipbreaker journey. You won't regret it. Just because FROSTPUNK is down the line in this video, in no way means that it's the lesser game in any sense. And to start things off, you can buy the base game and all of its DLC for 58% off at just $27.50 USD. I would be surprised if you haven't at least heard of FROSTPUNK by now, but for those that haven't, FROSTPUNK is easily one of the most brutal city building strategy games ever developed. Taking place in an alternate late 19th, early 20th century, the world has completely frozen over, and you are in charge of the last city on Earth, survivable thanks only to a revolutionary piece of tech, a massive coal burning generator hidden away in a giant hole in the ground. Survival, even with an abundance of coal, will not be remotely simple, because this isn't just a city builder, it's a society-based survival city builder. Your people will come to you with incredibly and oftentimes depressing choices that you have to decide on. Do you let children work, knowing that some could die in the dangerous environment? What should you do with the injured people? Do they deserve to soak up precious food resources while not contributing to overall production? Are we all that is truly left in the frozen world? Your choices will have an effect on two major mechanics of hope and discontent. Too much discontent and the people will rebel, and the weather is only going to get colder and colder. You will need to enact laws to curb the people's discontent or raise their hope, stockpile resources to take on the cold, send out explorers to find out what else is out there, but most important is simply survival at whatever cost. FROSTPUNK is an incredibly intriguing game that also presented some of the most challenging gameplay I've ever experienced with strategy titles. The DLC are all unique and bring new things to the table, with the last autumn being my absolute favorite of them all. You cannot go wrong purchasing FROSTPUNK, and you should definitely take advantage of this sale and start playing. The last game is an exception to my heavily played mention in the intro, as I nabbed it in Paradox's last sale when Vicky 3 was announced. Victoria 2 is currently 75% off for the moment at a very cheap $5 US. The recent announcement of Victoria 3 sent the Paradox community into a state of euphoria, with so many people desiring a sequel to this franchise for nearly a decade. The Victoria series is less of a traditional map painter, where the goal is to conquer the entire world, and more of a society empire builder, where the needs and wants of individual pops, your mechanic representing the people of your empire, shapes how well your empire succeeds. You will need to figure out how to satiate your pops, as their success and wealth building directly affects how much money you make, along with things like exported goods and taxes, and investors, and the efficiency of your administration, and other factors. Politics and social reform affect your empire just as much, as Victoria 2 takes place from the 19th into the early 20th century, a time inundated with revolutionary ideologies and technology that shook the foundations of governments that had stood resolute for centuries. Do you choose to industrialize or automate, pulling people out of work? Or do you counter that with education so workers can get better paying jobs, allowing you to dominate the market with your superior supply and demand products? As with any of these grand strategy games, it's up to you to decide, and those choices have much higher consequences here than in other strategy games. The biggest setback to Victoria 2 is, like most older Paradox titles, its user interface. Most people don't enjoy pie charts and graphs out the wazoo, and it certainly feels dated at 11 years old. But if you'll watch Quill18's latest stream as Belgium or any number of tutorials, you'll grab the hang of it, as I slowly am myself. This is a great time for beginners of the Victoria series to at least get their hands dirty and prep for Vicky 3, and at $5, it's not really a hard choice to make that dive, in my opinion. And that will wrap up the 7 satisfying strategy games of the Steam Summer Sale of 2021. There's not a lot of time to take advantage of the sale, so get those wallets out and get to buying. If you enjoyed the video still, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on bell notifications so you're always up to date with everything here. There is a lot of great strategy content coming our way, so you'll definitely want to hang around to see what's cooking. Thank you so much for stopping by. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next one.
But we believe what we do will make us right. It is not shelter nor food that brings us consolation.